37th parallel on America's haunted highway, it's Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.
Hey, what's up, long lost listeners? It is I, Shawn, and I am happy to be back and a little rusty, but welcome back to Pixelated Paranormal. This should be somewhere around episode 352. And with me, as always, is Preston. Presto, how are you, buddy?
What's up, all you cool ghosts and goblins, you crocodines and crocodingos, you skeletor skeletons, witchers and witches, and fuck, whatever, you know? I'm doing all right, you know? Sunday afternoon,
Nice,
recording
man.
with my boo, smoking a pipe.
Yeah, you're on the pipe action and not the vape this time around.
That's right, I'm old school.
Man, it would be a great time for me to be editing shows again to post on audio because you're not vaping.
I know.
Oh, good stuff. Well, we're back at it again, trying to make this a little bit more of a routine thing again. And yeah, it's kind of on me for moving into a new place with no recording studio, but I've got a bit of a nook set up here in the basement and the smooth sounds of my puppy whining in the background because I put her in the kennel while we recorded, so you might hear a yip or two. But man, it's good to be back. I think that was a much needed rest again. How are you, buddy? You just got back from a nice little trip.
Yeah, Jeffrey and I celebrated our third wedding anniversary. We went to Mansfield, Ohio, to the Ohio State Reformatory, which is where they filmed the Shawshank Redemption, some fucking movie with Sylvester Stallone and the one wrestler guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. I can never remember his name.
Batista?
Yeah, and then Sylvester Stallone and the guy that played Wyatt Earp and was in all those Quentin Tarantino movies, Tango and Cash, my memory. So that was really cool to go do that. We did the Blood Tour, which was the setup for their haunted house. So they partner with a company that every year they do a haunted house for Halloween, and then around Christmas they switch it over to a Krampus theme haunted house. And then we did the Shawshank Redemption escape room that was on the upper floor of the main building, which was really cool. We didn't quite make it out in time, so we're fucking dumb as shit. Like, we were just like, what the fuck? Where do we put this thing? What the fuck does this code mean? And to be fair, though, the guy said that whoever set up the room before we went in did not put stuff back in the right spot, and so that really threw off everything. But then we went to Dayton, Ohio, because she wanted to see the trolls.
Yeah, those are awesome.
3 trolls out there, and there was another escape room, so we did that, and yeah, we didn't do much better. So it's like, fuck, we're really kind of dumb without the kids. Well, one kid, my kid really doesn't help with anything. He just causes more chaos. So really, we need my daughter to be the smart one to pull it all together.
Gotcha.
But no, we did. So we did that. It was really cool to kind of see the setup of a haunted house, like why they do the thing that they do in the set production of it and the history behind it. So that was neat. After we did that, we kind of had like a self-guided do your own shit. And we were walking around and we were on the 3rd story of the cells by ourselves. And, you know, I basically kind of used my fingers to simulate the guard using his billy club along the bars. And we got about halfway down and we heard the same noise behind us, like somebody was echoing back. So we were like, cool, this place really is haunted. Like, we got a little ghost action while we were there. And, but I also felt like I could have got like hepatitis, or, well, you know, what's that other fucking disease that, tetanus. It was so rusty, and like there was lead paint just peeling off the ceiling, like dropping on you the whole entire time. Like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there was like 10 diseases I got just standing in there. So
Gross. Well, it sounds fun, dude. I definitely think that getting a behind the scenes look at a haunted house would be pretty cool. Like we were talking the other night, Shayla and I went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios several years ago, and we bought the fast pass thinking we'd get through all of them in a routine fashion. And sadly, there's so many people there that like it was more like walking through a museum than it was actually a haunted house because they cram so many people through there so quickly. The spooks don't have time to like reset their position. And at one time, I heard Jason Voorhees saying to his walkie-talkie, "God damn it, can you just slow everybody down? We don't have time to reset." And then, like, I saw Freddy Krueger like throw his hands up in the air because we went through this really cool, Freddy versus Jason haunted house, and like they just push you through there so fast, and like we would try to walk slow on purpose just to give them a chance. And then you have people with like flashlights saying, "You need to hurry up, you need to keep it moving," and it was just a big old pain in the booty. But yeah, I think seeing the behind the scenes would be pretty cool, man. Well, we're back with what was going to be an October episode or a Halloween episode to kind of cuss and discuss some haunted cemeteries and cemetery lore around the U.S. Presto, have you yourself had any recent run ins with any cemeteries? Have you kind of just stuck to your casa lately?
yeah, God, it's been a while since we've gone to a cemetery.
Mm.
Last time we went to one, honestly, I took my daughter to whatever the one is by WSU on 13th Street, like
Uh-huh.
Elm Grove or Elm Pine, and we were just taking pictures of the mausoleums. And she's always like have this weird hobby about conservation. So like whenever she goes to an old cemetery and she sees like a headstone like covered up, like she'll spend 20 minutes trying to like clean it up with her hands so like you can see the headstone again.
Yeah.
So just, photography wise, like that's the last time that we went. So it's been a hot
Yeah.
second, but we've had some freaky shit happen to us at cemeteries, back in the
Yeah,
day.
we sure have. So, real quick about your daughter, do you think it's conservation or is it also a little bit of like just respect for the dead? Like, out of respect, I need to clear this headstone off because you were a person
I
once.
think a little bit of both. She had once asked me like why I enjoy taking photography in cemeteries, and my response to her was that you know anything that you do throughout your life, your immediate family is kind of the only people that are going to remember you, and so like your life story is chalked up to how much time and effort do you put into your family? So if I constantly am focusing on like making moments and memories with you kids, then as you go off to have your own families, like, you're telling your story to your kids at the time that, oh, hey, like I did this with grandpa, and then you're making your own moments and memories. So in essence, through those moments and memories, I'm living on. Like that's my immortality right there. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you go to the cemetery and your family has forgotten you, because a lot of these cemeteries, like the graves are like 1880, 1890. And it's like nobody's coming anymore to put the flowers. Nobody's coming to, pay their respects. And so like that person essentially has become lost to time. So even if in that moment by clearing off the leaves, clearing off the dirt, in that moment you're bringing that person's story back to life, and so
Okay.
that's why I take those photos, because like it's like I'm retelling their story again, even if I don't know who they are. Just by being in that moment and taking a photo of that grave, you're bringing them back to life for a second. And so I think that hit
Mm-hmm.
home with her. And so part of it is like, you see this small child's grave and it's covered with dirt. And what's the right thing to do? Well, pay your respects, clear the dirt off, and in that moment, bring them back to life for a second. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. I think we've always had this fascination with the dead and cemeteries and gravestones. And I think it's just that real fine line between, our mortality and our death. And, growing up, I had family that used to live out in the country, and we used to always love stumbling on like a little cemetery to walk through, living out kind of on the outskirts of Wichita and Derby. We have a couple cemeteries and graveyards out here. And there's something kind of cool, and it's a morbid curiosity, I think, as well, that gets kind of mixed in there. But I think since, what do they call that, time immemorial, we've had a fascination with death and cemeteries, man. I've got the coffin bookshelf in there, and there are fleeting moments in time where I'm like, that is kind of weird, like kind of morbid in a way. But, it's part of this morbid curiosity and this fascination with death. And I think it just kind of keeps us coming back. But yeah, you said a second ago, we've had some interesting stuff happen in cemeteries, the two of us together. What is the name of that cemetery in El Dorado we went to with your dad? Buena Vista?
Yes.
Bella Vista?
No, Bella Vista. Bella Vista.
Bella Vista, yeah. Yeah, so way back, even before you and I knew each other, my wife and my buddy Tony and I used to go out there and just kind of just muck around because it was near where his parents lived. And I still swear to this day, we saw some kind of little gremlin scuttle across the gravel road and hide behind a barrel and then poke his head out and look at us. And like Scooby-Doo, we all just hightailed it back to the car and left. But you and I had a little adventure out there with Pops, old Big John Wiener. So yeah, I think there's just something very special about cemeteries. Well, you prepared a couple stories here of a few cemeteries. This is from a book of yours, right, that you had picked up?
Yeah.
Ouch.
And I picked up another book at the gift shop.
Nice.
Every time I go, I always look at the books and see what they have. And so this is going to be backwards in the camera, but it's Haunted Graveyards.
No, it's frontwards.
Oh, is it? It just looks backwards on my side. Okay. So it's Haunted Graveyards of the Ozarks by David E. Harkins. So I pulled a couple stories out of that. And so, yeah. Were we going to split? Oh, no, you did. You put some in blue. All right, good. Fuck.
I did. I color coordinated it. You're orange or yellow, and I'm blue or purple.
I'm brown. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, you are.
Yeah. Because we're both colorblind, so. So
you're also a little more grizzled than usual. I see you got a little more beard.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm probably gonna let it go for a little bit. I never really do a long beard, so might as well.
Do it. Come on,
do it. Facial hair. All right, so today's episode starts off with a tale from the Old Carey Cemetery near Jenkins, Missouri, which has long been associated with paranormal reports, including apparitions of a man and a woman, strange lights, a misty fog, so some Stephen King shit. Some believe this phenomenon are connected to a century-old double murder and a lynching, the only recorded lynching in Berry County. The murder occurred on December 4th, 1869. At a double log building that served as a store and a residence for Jack Carney and his wife Mary Cordelia Carney in Shell Knob, near what is now Shell Knob. So that's weird.
I like the pictures out of town that used to spell knob with two B's, and now it's like one B.
Yeah. The crime happened around.
Did you have AI polish this up?
No, not at all.
No, really? Okay.
No, I typed it from the book, and I don't know why I didn't catch that when I was typing it from the book.
Oh no, hold on. It used to be spelled Shell, SCHELLKNOB, and now the town is called Shell Knob, SHELLKNOB. So they dropped the C.
Yeah, get rid of that little German background right there.
Sorry, I accused you of letting AI polish up your notes, man.
Fucker. Anyways, the crime happened around dark on a Saturday evening. It was not discovered until Sunday afternoon when a resident went to the store to retrieve a package bought the previous day. The store stood about 400 feet west and slightly south on the present Shell Knob school site near the eastern edge of Shell Knob, just south of Highway 39. The visitor found Carney dead on the floor. He had been shot twice in the head near his mouth. Mary Cordelia was shot in the upper chest, and the shot caused her clothing to catch fire, which burned down to her waist. An inquest on December 8th ruled that Jackson Carney and his wife died from pistol fire. No shit.
Mm-hmm.
It was Professor Plum in the library with a pistol. They were buried side by side in the same grave and coffin, a funeral that drew more attendance than any prior in the county. Carney was described as a high, respectful, honorable, and peaceful man, and his wife was regarded as one of the best women, kind, dutiful, and affectionate. Neighbors believed neither had enemies, and the community was eager to see the murderer punished. Patrons who visited the store on Saturday suspected a young man named George Moore, 28, who had been largely raised by the Carney family. Sheriff John H. Moore, not related, in Cassville, was alerted to the arrest, and he appeared in the area. Moore had spent much of Sunday at Carney's store and was seen there after sundown. He and Carney had known each other since childhood. Moore had robbed an elderly woman about a year earlier and fled to Arkansas, where his mother lived. Minutes after he was last seen near Carney's, a neighbor heard 3 pistol shots toward the store, which was about a quarter mile away. About 2 hours later, Moore sought lodging nearly 9 miles from the store, traveling on horseback. He attended church on Sunday and was arrested Monday about 1.5 miles south of Caseville and jailed. At the arrest, Moore wore the murder victim's hat and had Carney's revolver strapped on. Moore's hat and pistol were found in the store. He carried $201 with money scattered across his pockets and the lining of his clothes, and some pinned inside his clothing. Shortly before the slayings, Mary Cordelia had dyed wool with a yellow dye. This dye was transferred onto some of the money, and after his capture, some of Moore's money bore traces of that dye. Sheriff Moore transported the other Moore to the county jail, a newly built log jail completed on October 10th, 1867, located 6 feet from the county courthouse. The Berry County Courthouse was a 2-story brick house built in 1856, and it sits in the center of Cassville's public square at the site of the present courthouse. The Carney family were among Berry County's early pioneer families. Thomas G. Carney and his family settled in the extreme east central Berry County in 1830, where John became a prominent figure, serving as a county judge from 1863 to 1868. The family's prominence, combined with the ruthlessness of the murder, sparked indignation in the eastern part of the county. On Monday evening, a large group of the victim's friends and relatives converged on the county seat with the intent of taking the prisoner out of jail and executing him. The sheriff managed to save him by secretly moving the prisoner to the countryside. The deceased victims were buried on Tuesday. On Wednesday, an estimated 200 men, nearly all local, gathered, believed by the sheriff to be there to hear the trial. When they were assured the prisoner would receive a trial, the sheriff was shocked to be surrounded by several men demanding keys to the jail. The sheriff, fearing for his life, finally surrendered the jail keys. Wooden good boxes were placed under an extending arm from the bell post in the southeast corner of the square. And, Moore was hung from the post. And the lynching shortly occurred before noon on Wednesday. Where Moore was placed atop the boxes and the rope was around his neck. So, a lot of people believe that, the man and woman seen in the cemetery are in fact the Carneys, and that's one of the first reports of a double burial. Most of the time that it was common. It happened a lot. but it wasn't really recorded very well. So this was one of the first cases of recorded of a double burial. And there you go. A little murder
Dude,
mystery
that's
and a ghost
wild.
tale.
There you go, man. Yeah, it's sad that Mary, she burned after being shot because like a spark from the gunshot. I thought that was like a really kind of a scary deal because I mean, if you
Yeah.
just get shot once, you may survive, but like the idea of her laying there incapacitated but maybe still alive and just slow roasting to death, just it's a bummer, dude. Well, up next, we have the Zombie Road located near Willward, Missouri, known as an old, overgrown path that has garnered a reputation steeped in local legend. Despite its haunting name, the history of the road is more straightforward and well documented than one might expect. Originally known as Lawler Ford Road, it was built in the 1860s as a simple access route to the Merrimack River. Following a renovation in 2010, the road was renamed Rock Hollow Trail and is now a well maintained paved bike path managed by St. Louis County Parks. The area is rich with stories and myths, adding to a mysterious allure. But what about the spooky stuff, you may ask? Don't worry, we have you covered. See, hikers have reported feeling unsettled as if they were constantly being watched and have said there are unexplainable noises along the road, as well as a cold spot here and there. Some have even said a mysterious old woman yells at passers-by only to vanish when people go to investigate. The legend has it that anyone unfortunate enough to find themselves there at night is bound to be chased and probably murdered by a spectral American Indian, undead Confederate rebels, packs of children ghosts, and even the tortured souls of railroad and quarry workers who were killed in accidents. But it's not just the undead. There's also rumors of shadowy figures, non-human entities, and even a giant serial killer named Zombie. Supposedly back in the 1950s, Zombie Road was a local hotspot for teens to make out. Ooh, a little parking action, okay.
Yeah.
Around that same time, a crazed man from a nearby mental hospital escaped and disappeared somewhere along the road, leaving his bloody clothes on the side. He set up residence in a worn-down shack, sometimes sneaking out at night to go murder teenagers. He lived out the rest of his days happily, holing up in a shack, engaging in his murderous hobby, only to die an old man and then continue haunting the area as a giant serial-killing murderous zombie. There's another variation of the same tale that says Zombie worked in an orphanage run by sadists, and that inexplicably there was a nearby cemetery specifically for murdering children. Oh, sorry, to put murdered children. Sorry, folks, it's been a minute. Luke Backer, a sophomore at Kirkwood High School, explored Zombie Road once and wasn't enthusiastic about going back when he and about a dozen friends made a late-night visit last month. Backer said that he's skeptical about the paranormal, but there's something creepy about that trail. It weaves between sometimes steep ridges, and the temperature on the valley floor can seem unnaturally cool. Thanks to a thick forest canopy, the trail often is shrouded in virtual blackness. In the dark, commonplace sounds, falling branches and bird calls and the rustling of leaves can sound strangely sinister. On his return visit, Backer and a friend drove around while the rest of the group disappeared out into the woods. I think she thought the ghosts were going to attack her, he said. I was just afraid of the cops. When they drove back to the trailhead to pick up their friends, Backer said they were happy they stayed behind. There were at least 13 cop cars with lights flashing, he said, and my friends were all sitting on the curb looking sad. But scenes like that aren't unnatural because citations seem to be making an impact. There's lots of trespassing than there used to be, says Captain Kenneth Williams of the county police, which has a contract to patrol Wildwood. Teenagers have told spine tinglers about the road for generations, and for just about as long, they've been sneaking out there at night to hang out, drink, and give themselves a fright. The road likely was built on top of a track used by Indians and early settlers to get a narrow stretch of the Merrimack River. During the Civil War, it was one of the main routes from western St. Louis County to Jefferson County and a site of tragic significance, says Lynn Martin, former president of the Wildwood Historical Society. But years later, the road was used by trucks hauling gravel dredged from the Merrimack, and at night, it was often a lover's lane. Martin's family moved out to that area in the 1950s, and even then, teenagers liked to tell spooky stories about the old road. Young people might not have called it Zombie Road at that point, but we didn't use the word zombie for anything. But they'd still dare each other to visit at night. Martin doesn't think the woods along the road are haunted, but she admits she was less skeptical back in 1967 when she drove a group of teenagers down to the road late at night and her Volkswagen had briefly stalled out. They all started screaming, and by the 1970s, the gravel operation had closed and the road quickly fell to despair. Creeks washed out some of the low parts, making Zombie Road impassable for most motor vehicles. Legends grew, especially after the release in 2007 of a direct-to-video documentary called The Children of the Grave. It presents what it calls photographic evidence of Zombie Road's famous shadow people, human silhouettes that follow late-at-night explorers along the moonlit ridgelines.
And after the documentary aired on the Sci-Fi Channel, packs of teens started showing up again on Zombie Road. And thanks to Reddit, I was able to find some tales. So, from, I don't even know how to cakes or hammer it.
Cakes Schmarmid?
I went back to high school. I went back in high school, probably like 2008. We walked down until we ran into what appeared to be a miniature railroad track. Once we got there, all of our flashlights started to flicker. So we decided to head back. Once we kind of got close to the entrance, we passed two older ladies walking down the path with gas lanterns. This was like 1 a.m, and who the fuck uses gas lanterns? Ghosts. I can't recall if this actually happened or if it was in our imagination after the fact, but they seemed to disappear from view very quickly. And, like we turned around expecting to still see them, and they just weren't there. All I remember about the location is the entrance was in the parking lot of some school. From Russian Mafia. We saw faces in the trees at night back in high school. Place is definitely spooky as fuck. Pine Hill Cemetery lies between Rolla and St. James and is locally called Spook Hollow. The Goat Man is in that area as a central figure believed to haunt the cemetery. So other than a pissed off goat man, nope, that's it. I started to go into the next topic because I'm an idiot and it's been a while.
That's okay, buddy.
Yeah, the next story we're going to talk about is Pine Hill Cemetery, which lies between Rolla and St. James and is locally called Spook Hollow. The Goat Man is the area's central figure, which I believe we talked about in the past, and is believed to haunt the cemetery. Oh. So other than a pissed off goat man, what does this cemetery have to offer? Visitors report phantom cars that appear and then vanish after speeding down the road. Photos taken in the area reportedly won't develop and flashlights stop working. Down the road sits an old bus that claims of red glowing eyes. Some think it's light reflection from broken glass. Others say a vagrant psychopath once lived there. People feel watched around the bus. Large non-human footprints larger than a bear are said to appear throughout the cemetery. Local legends say that Goatman was born to a witch who practiced Satanism and is supposedly buried in the cemetery. Strange, inhuman voices have been heard. Trespassers have allegedly left the cemetery with burn marks on their clothes and scratch marks on their arms and their legs. A local man reportedly scares away trespassers and is blamed for the phantom cars. Some thinks he protects the goat man's graves and secrets. When I turned to Reddit, I couldn't find anything on that. So I don't know.
No, all good. Yeah, we did a episode a long time ago about Goatman, Frogman, Dogman. That is when we used Raining Men as an intro piece. Well, before we got flagged, yeah. Well before we really thought too much about copyright laws. Good stuff. Well, thanks for sharing that and putting that together, buddy. It reminded me a little bit of every other urban legend that every small town has about a, Lover's Lane area that's haunted by somebody who escaped from a mental hospital. I think Kansas has their own, which is called the Hamburger Man.
Yep. Yep.
Yep, Old Hamburger Man. So maybe on our next episode, we ought to jump back into some Kansas, some myths and local legends. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, if you joined us on this lovely Sunday afternoon, thank you. If you're watching this weeks later because we haven't posted anything for like 6 or 8 weeks, welcome back. And I think hopefully we'll get back to posting these as audio as well on Spotify. It'll just be under the moniker of, what do you think, Preston? Pixelated Paranormal, The Return?
Yeah, let's do it.
Pixelated Paranormal Resurrection?
Resurrection of the Pixelated Paranormal podcast.
Okay, we could do that. Yeah, well, I'll get that going. I just got to finish getting that set up with Spotify. So, well, in the meantime, give us a follow. We are
Pixelated Paranormal Rises from the Grave.
Yeah, that could be a name as well. If you're on social media, give us a follow on Instagram, PXL Paranormal over on Instagram. We have well over 1,000 followers, which is super fun and super neato bandito. On Facebook, we are the Pixelated Paranormal Podcast as well. Preston, you got anything for daubers?
Yeah, need a beard, want the best damn beard possible. Are you tired of looking like a vagrant? Are you tired of being confused with Goat Man, some hobo living out in the woods? Well, do yourself a favor. Go over to bigdobsbeardbomb.com and use promo code PXLPARA for 20% off your order. That's surprisingly still a code that works after all these years.
Nice.
And pick yourself up some scents like bay rum, fresh citrus, mint, classic sweet tobacco. Spartan is one of his newer ones. I think he's recently redone his barrel aged. Get it all. Get it at Dobbs. And if you live in the Omaha area, fucking Dobbs is cutting hair now. Like, he's trimming it up. And so get yourself some fresh cuts by Dobb if you're in the area. Love you, Al.
Yeah, man, for sure. All right, and if you're in the Wichita area, please stop by and see Leslie and the rest of the gang
who
over
just
at...
so happens to be our top fan. I got on Facebook today, and it was like, celebrate your top fans. And I'm like, all right, cool. Did the post, and then went back and looked at it. I'm like, holy shit, John and Leslie, top fans. Fuck yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, go by and see Leslie and the rest of the gang over at CD Trade Post, Pawnee, and Seneca here in Wichita. And also go check out our friends over at paranormal.cafe. Get yourself a scone and a coffee. All right, let's see if I still remember this. I'm going to raise this little remainder of this fall old-fashioned and say cheers to the weird shit in the world and those of us that love to talk about it.
And stay spooky and stay on the paranormal highway.
The cast at Pixelated Paranormal would like to thank you for listening to this week's episode. Pixelated Paranormal is here to tell you tales of the fantastical, the strange, the unknown. Tales that will move you a little further down the paranormal highway. If you'd like to share your own listener story, we would love to hear it. Email us at pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. Again, that's pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. We'd really love to hear from you. Again, thanks for listening to this week's episode of Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.